everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on this pendant, and this pendant I made to kind of go with the glistening feathers bracelet, and I think it looks really pretty together, but it's a standalone piece. You don't have to work with your bracelet. So here it is. I have it on a ribbon here. I have it on a 2-bead spiral chain here. You can easily make earrings out of this. I think these would make gorgeous earrings. So just do 2 of those and make some beautiful statement earrings. So we're going to get started right away on making this pendant. Here is this going. So almost everything I've used here is from the Featherlight Dance collection from Eureka Crystal Beads. However, the collection is sold out, but I will list everything individually, all colors, shapes, sizes, everything you need in the description box below the video. So here I've got an 11-0 seed bead, I've got a 15-0, I've got a gem duo, I've got this pretty 11-0 Miyuki in that blue color, and then I've got a Delica right here. I've got a 4mm fire polish. I'm sorry, my lights are a bit bright. I've got a jump ring. I've got a chaton. Now the chatons that came in the collection, if you have it, are this color, but I used them all. So I just went through my other collections and I found this one in the City Chic collection, I think the name of it is. So you might, check back and see what else you have. I've got a 4mm bicone. I've got a 3x2mm rondelle. I've got this pretty drop. There's a bugle bead, which the tube escaped me somehow. So here I've got a pretty bugle bead. Of course, like I said, I'll list everything, colors, shape, sizes, amounts, everything in the description box. I've got Fireline. I'm using crystal, 6 pound. I have a little puff that I keep all my beading needles on. I think I use an size 11 beading needle for the entire project. And then we need just a little stop bead, which will pop right there. As I said, I'll list everything below. If I forgot anything, if there's anything I need to add. Oh, the bail. Okay, here. So this bail came in the collection if you have the collection, but here's a different one that I used. I think you can still get these. You can get this one on Eureka Crystal Beads website as well. And did I say jump ring? I think so. All right, so let's get started. You needle with about 3.5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, and leave a tail to sew in. So I picked up and dropped down to my stop bead, a 4mm fire polish, and 3 11-0s, and I did that 4 times. So just like so. We're going to sew these into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead, which is this fire polish. Have a nice circle. Now you're just going to reinforce this all the way around. So sew through all the beads again. So I've reinforced all the way around, and I came past where I started just to complete the circle a little bit. So I came past by some seed beads and another fire polish, and I'm exiting middle 11-0 of a group of 3 11-0s. So it doesn't matter which one, as long as you're reinforced and exiting an 11-0 in the middle of that group of 3. I'm exiting that middle 11-0 of that group of 3. I'm going to pick up 4 15-0s. I'm just going to skip everything and sew through the middle 11-0 of the next group of 3. Put the needle in there. There we go. And you want to make sure you push these in front of the fire polish. Let's do that again. 4 15-0s. Exiting the middle 11-0 of the group of 3. I'm just going to skip everything and sew through the middle 11-0 of the next group of 3. That's what it looks like. So you can do that 2 more times. Coming down to my last 4 15-0s, I'm exiting this 11-0. I'm just going to skip over to that middle 11-0, and that's the one I started with. Get my needle in there. There we go. Sew through that bead. Now you have all your groups of 15-0s on, and so I'm exiting that middle 11-0. I'm going to sew through the next 11-0 and the next fire polish, just to set myself up to put some more beads on. So just like that. Next up, I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a Delica, and an 11-0. I'm exiting the fire polish. I'm going to sew through the next fire polish. Push that in front, like so. 11-0, Delica, 11-0. Exiting here, just going to sew through the next fire polish. And you know that blue 11-0 would look really pretty there too. So really you have so many choices of, you know, if you have the collection of beads that you can use. So you can do that 2 more times. Last 11-0, Delica, 11-0, sewing through this fire polish, like so. And then you want to just advance right through the next 11-0, Delica, 11-0. So you're exiting that group of 11-0, Delica, 11-0, just like that. Okay, let's add some bugle beads. So I'm going to pick up a bugle bead. I'm exiting the 11-0, Delica, 11-0. I'm just going to sew through the next 11-0, Delica, 11-0. So just like that. Let's do that again. Delica, exiting this 11-0 here. Just going to sew through that next group. 11-0 of the 11-0, Delica, 11-0. So just like that. I'm going to do that 2 more times. Coming down to my last bugle bead. You can pop your stone in now, or you could wait until after you get that bugle bead on. But I'm just going to pop it in and hold it. It's not going to stay yet. So this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to advance my needle through the next bugle bead. So that's the very first one we put on. So just like that. Pick up 3 15-0s. I'm exiting the bugle. I'm going to sew through the next bugle. Just the bugle. Like that. With my tail. I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s. And you're going to sew through the next bugle bead. Just going to do this all the way around, just through the bugles. Like that. And don't worry about if your stone kind of moves around a little bit. It will until you get it nice and tight. So do that 2 more times. Okay, last 3 15-0s. Exiting this bugle. I'm going to sew through this one. Watch your stone. There you go. And at any time you can really sew your tail thread in, and you know that will tighten it up a little bit too. So I'm exiting the bugle bead. I'm just going to advance my needle right through the next 3 15-0s. So this is what it's going to look like so far. Okay, so here we are. We're exiting these 3 15-0s. You're going to pick up 2 15-0s. You're going to skip the bugle and sew through the next 3 15-0s. So you want 2 15-0s in front of the bugles. Do that again. 2 15-0s through the next 3 15-0s. Do that 2 more times. So 2 15-0s through the next, the next 3 15-0s. And I'll finish it up with you, 2 15-0s through the next 3 15-0s. And then you're going to, don't get caught. There we go. And then you'll just reinforce this all the way around to tighten it up. So I've reinforced all the way around. I'm exiting a group of 3 15-0s. It doesn't matter which ones. You know, you have the 2 in front of the bugles. So here are the 3 15-0s. So you want to exit there through those. So I'm just going to turn it to the side a little bit. I want to move this thread to the outside. So I'm going to sew through the bugle. I'm going to sew through the 11-0, Delica 11-0. And then I'm going to sew through the fire polish. And this is just going to set me up to put some more beads on. Okay, so I'm exiting this fire polish right here. I've picked up a gem duo, an 11-0 and a gem duo. And I'm just going to come over to the next fire polish right here. Just going to put that on like so. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, here's my last Gem Duo 11-0 Gem Duo through the fire polish. Just want to complete the circle, come past a little bit, so I'm going to come through the next Gem Duo 11-0, Gem Duo, and the next fire polish. So like so. This is what it looks like. So exiting the fire polish, we're going to advance our needle through the next Gem Duo 11-0 Gem Duo. So just like that. We're going to pick up 4 15-0s. And we're going to sew through the bottom hole of the next Gem Duo, the 11-0, and the next Gem Duo. So we're just going to repeat that. 4 15-0s. Through the next Gem Duo 11-0, Gem Duo. So you got it. Just going to repeat that 2 more times. Last 4 15-0s through the Gem Duo 11-0. The next Gem Duo, like so. So this is what we have so far. Exiting the Gem Duo. Now if you need to reinforce, you can. I'm not going to, but you could if you want. But exiting this Gem Duo right here, I'm just going to sew through the fire polish. So just like that. That's what it looks like. Turn this on the back, so I'm just going to pop my needle right through to the back. And we're still exiting the fire polish like that. So when I turn it over, see I'm exiting that fire polish bead right there. So I want to work on the back a little. We're exiting that fire polish. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a bugle bead in 11-0. I'm just going to sew through the next fire polish. So right there. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, bugle bead 11-0. Through the next fire polish, just like so. Okay, do that 2 more times. Last 11-0, bugle bead 11-0, exiting this fire polish. I'm going to sew through this one. So now I have those 4 groups on, and I'm just going to advance right through the next 11-0, bugle bead 11-0. So just like that. I'm going to pick up 5 11-0s. I'm exiting the 11-0 after the bugle bead. I'm going to sew through the next 11-0 bugle bead and the next 11-0. If you can't get them all together, just do as many as you can, like that. Puts those 5 on. I'm going to pick up 5 11-0s, exiting the 11-0 after the bugle bead. I'm going to sew through the next 11-0 bugle bead and 11-0. Like so. So you're going to do that 2 more times. Last 5 11-0s, exiting this 11-0 after the bugle. I'm going to sew through the next 11-0 bugle bead 11-0. Let's just do that right now, just like that. And then I'm going to advance through the next 2 11-0s. Just like that. Okay, we're exiting those 3 11-0s. So we're going to make a little picot out of that center bead. So you're just going to skip that center bead and sew through the next 3 11-0s and the bugle bead. So just like that. And when I pull, see how it pops that center bead up. Okay, so we're exiting the bugle bead. I'm going to sew through the first 3 11-0s after the bugle bead. I'm going to skip this one and then sew through the next 3 11-0s and the bugle bead. It's going to pop that one up just like that. Just going to keep doing that. Sew through the next 3 11-0s, skip the middle one, sew through the last 3 11-0s, and the bugle bead. There you go. Just keep going. Sew through the first 3. Skip this one. Sew through the next 3, the bugle bead, and you can move right on through the next 3, and you want to be exiting that point bead of that next group. So that one popped up, came through these 3. Just want to exit right here. Let's give that a nice pull. And this is what you have so far. Okay, so we're exiting this point bead right there. I'm just going to turn my piece around to the front. I'm going to pick up 3 of my blue 11-0s, and I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next gem duo. Then I'm going to pick up a 15-0, 4mm bicone, and a 15-0, and I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next gem duo. I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s. I'm going to sew through that point bead, like sort of in the back there, just like that. 3 11-0s, and the blue ones through the top hole of the next gem duo. 15-0, bugle bead, 4mm bicone, 15-0 through the top hole of the next gem duo. So we're just going to keep repeating that all the way around. So 3 11-0s going through the point here, sort of in the back, like so. 3 11-0s through the top hole of the next gem duo. So you're just going to repeat that all the way around. Coming down to my last few beads, so I have my 15-0 bicone 15-0 through the next gem duo, 3 11-0s through that next point bead back there, like so, and then through the next 3 11-0s to sort of complete that circle. Advance our needle to the next gem duo, 15-0, bicone 15-0, and then the next gem duo. This is what we have so far. Next up, I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s. I'm exiting this gem duo here. I'm going to sew through the middle 2 beads of that group of 4 15-0s right there. See that? Like that. I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s. I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next gem duo, and you can move on through the 15-0, bicone 15-0, and then the next gem duo, like that. I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s. I'm going to sew through the middle 2 beads of that group of 4 15-0s right there. Then pick up 3 15-0s. And I'm going to sew through the top hole of this gem duo. So we're just going to repeat that sequence all the way around. So you'll go through the 15-0, bicone 15-0, through the gem duo, and then you'll put your 15-0s on. Do that 2 more times. Okay, last 3 15-0s. So I put these on, came to the 2 in the middle. Just pick up my last 3 15-0s through the gem duo, like so. And you want to give it a nice pull here. And now you can reinforce this all the way around and tie some knots and just, kind of snug it up a bit. If it's loose, you can even go through some of the beads on the back to tighten it up. So the more thread you put through them, the more, the tighter it's going to get. This is looking pretty good. I'm just going to come through a little bit and tie some 1/2-inch knots, and then you're done with your component. So you're going to add a thread, and you're going to come through a gem duo. So I've just come through here. I'm going to advance my needle through the 15-0, bicone 15-0. So you want to exit a 15-0 on the side of the bicone. I'm going to add 3 11-0s the crystal rondelle. I put a ring on my bail. I used the bail from the collection, so I'm using a different one. You can get this one on Eureka crystal beads as well, I believe. I put a ring so I could sew in this direction, so I've sewn through the ring. I've added a rondelle and 3/11-ohs. I'm going to sew through the 15-oh on the other side of the bicone and back through, just like that. And then you want to make sure you'll keep pushing this in so that the bail sits in between the beads and not on the thread. So this is what we have so far. So now I'm going to sew through. So I'm exiting that little 15-oh. I'm going to sew through this 11-oh. I'm just holding it in my hand to keep it all together. I'm going to skip this middle 11-oh and I'm going to sew through the next. So skipping this one, sew through this one, the rondelle, the ring, the next rondelle, and the next 11-oh. So I'm just going to make those little side beads pop up here too. So this one you'll have to kind of get your needle in, hold it down, push it over, give it a little push. See, and then it goes like so. Exiting here, I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to sew through the next 11-oh and the 15-oh. See how it gives a little point bead, and then back through the bicone and the 15-oh. Make sure that that ring is sitting in between the beads, and you want to pull this really tight and then reinforce, and then you want to sew this thread in. And then we'll work on putting a drop on the end. Let's add the drop. So I've done the same thing here. You can add a thread and come through the 15-oh, bicone 15-oh. Actually, after I added my bail on, I just worked my way around and exited here because I had the thread. But if you don't, you can just, just start here, come through, exit the 15-oh on the other side of the bicone. I've added 3 11-ohs. You can do any combination here. A bicone. I put in a little rondelle, 11-oh, the drop, and 3 11-ohs. But, any combination of beads. I'm going to skip the 3 11-ohs, and I'm going to sew up through the drop. I'm going to continue on. I came through the drop, through the 11-oh, the rondelle, and the bicone. So this is what I have so far. I'm going to pick up 3 11-ohs. I'm going to sew through the other side of this group here. So the 15-oh, the bicone, and the 15-oh. So just like that. This is what it looks like. You can leave it just like that, or you can do that little picot there. So we'll do that and you'll see how it looks. Okay, so I'm exiting the 15-oh. I'm going to sew through this one. So the next 11-oh, I'm going to skip the middle one, and it'll pop that over. I'll just give you a look and see how it looks. Here, pop that over like so. So it'll just make it pop out, and then you'll just go through all your beads again, come back up through the bicone, through everything, through the bicone, through this first 11-oh, skip this one, sew through this one if you want to do this picot, and then come around and just sew in your threads. So here, I'll just do it real quick on here. So here we go, we're just going down everybody. Like so. Through the picot, back up all the beads, again, right through the bicone, through this 11-oh, skip this one, so through this one, and then through the 15-0 bicone. 15-0. You want to make sure that pops. So it's going to look kind of like that. I mean, you might not like that as much as just without making it pop, but it's up to you, whichever one you like. So then you're just going to sew your threads in. Okay, we're back and we're done, and I love how it came out. I think it's so pretty. Here it is on this beautiful teal colored ribbon. I love it. You can easily make a pair of earrings out of this. How about just like that? Two of them earrings. It's not heavy. It's a statement earring, but you know, in the summer, why not? Or any time of year. So love how that came out. Here's one on a 2-bead spiral chain. I'll link this chain in the description box below the video. If you're using the bail from the collection, it has a loop at the end, so you'll just use that as your loop instead of adding a loop. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.